Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your absurd, satirical hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other absurd and satirical host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Um, I like those,
I know they're
but I
good.
am
I
absurd.
think we
You're
both are
good.
pretty absurd. In a good way, right? It's good to have
Right.
a healthy amount of absurdity contained within you, if possible.
As much as possible.
Yeah,
Like coming out your nose.
yes, very much. That's an appropriate place for it to come out.
So the crack is I went to the eye doctor.
Ooh, for,
Uh, I know. I haven't been to the eye doctor in 14 years since I got
hmm.
LASIK eye surgery. And I've been
Nice.
like slowly like things are having to move away from my face
Uh-huh.
when I'm reading or like trying to put earrings in my daughter's ears.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I literally have been using a magnifying glass
Oh,
to
really?
like get splinters out of feet,
Oh,
including my
no.
own. Oh, so bad, so bad. Like I'm like, do I need a monocle? So yeah, I went in, they were like, you need you need glasses. So I'm gonna have braces and glasses again.
Sweet nerd.
Such a like I think I might regrow my unibrow and just
Sure.
like have those ears back,
Just gonna
the monkey dog ears.
just get a pair of braces to keep your pants up and things like that. Pocket
Hmm.
protector, so on and so forth.
Tuck that in there.
Hell
So
yeah. I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. So I they're just reading glasses.
Okay.
So I don't think I'll need them. Like I'm good where I'm at here, but I was like, can you laser my eyes again? And they're like, no, it only works for whatever. I can't
Okay.
speak eyeball, but you can't see far what like I couldn't see far.
Hmm.
And now I can't see near. So it's the opposite, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
I
now
think
farsighted.
so. I don't remember, but I know you may, yeah, I know what you're saying, at least anyway.
But I
I
had the
think,
whole they dilated my eyes,
uh-huh,
which is
fun.
always fun. So I was like wearing sunglasses, like, and it's really sunny here to the point where like you wake up in the morning and like it's too
You're
sunny,
like,
right?
oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh, and
oh,
then like
everybody's like, oh, boo-hoo, Beth, poor Beth.
I
Oh,
know, right? I know.
no.
So that's what's happened in my
I
life.
love
What
it.
about you? What's the
Well,
crack?
I was just before because like I think I've mentioned this to you before, possibly on pod. I definitely also need glasses. I for certainly reading glasses, and it's only really because I've had pretty good eyesight my whole life, and it's only the past few years. It's like looking at
Seriously,
my
you've never had glasses?
never had glasses, and
Did
that
you
is
have
like
braces?
nope, I know, but
A
yet
genetic
still,
anomaly.
but still a complete nerd somehow.
You're right.
Yeah. But like it happened whenever I was like looking at my watch, and it was about like I've taken no action on this, and maybe about 6 months to a year or so. And I was looking at my watch, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I had like hold it away from my face, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good."
Unless
I'm
you're doing it with like menus, you're at a restaurant,
yeah,
you're like,
like a nightmare. But like, and I've been reading it, which is a whole other freaking nightmare. I need a solution for this. So if anybody has one, please let me know. But I'm like trying to read like hardback both books and comics in bed. It's very painful because you have to rest it on your chest, and it sucks. There's no kind of good place for it. And I'm also trying constantly moving it because like, I can't quite see the words. So it's yeah.
we could make like a sternum pillow,
Yes, Bendy pillow, Bendy
a
branded.
bendy branded sternum pillow.
I like it. Okay, I'm into that. Yeah.
I wonder if I'm sure someone else has made that, but if not, like
Yeah, I mean, now's our
I'll tell
time.
Harper and she'll be like, I'll make it by
Okay.
hand
This is
using my old clothes.
this is how we're gonna make our millions. Surname Phillips. Gotta copyright this idea
But
immediately.
it's like, seriously, I was at the library. I know I keep talking about this Barbara Streisand book,
Yeah.
but I was at the library with a friend and I was like, and there she was. Because I just switched to the audiobook. And when I told you a couple weeks ago, like, oh, I still have 41 hours left of Barbara Streisand,
Yeah.
I was not lying when we were
I
talking about the game you were playing. And you were like, I have 71 hours logged. And I was like, I still have to listen to 41 hours.
I've heard it's enormous. Like, and the podcast that one of the podcasts I think I told you recently did like a series of Barbara Streisand films. And one of them is listening to her autobiography, and they keep just sharing little anecdotes. And I'm like, man, it's, I don't think it's something I'll ever like take on because it sounds massive,
And
and I have so many other books to read,
well,
but it sounds
she
fascinating.
she talks equally about like what she's done and what sandwich she was eating at the time.
And
And I'm like, I'm into it. I don't know why, but I
I
like it's like you can't not listen to Barbara Streisand, right? She's,
I can
you
get behind
know,
that. I I
so
I kind of I admire as well. Like basically what I've heard is, she is very much she's like, I'm a lazy person. If I don't, I really like to just hang out at home and just like watch movies and stuff like that. But if she takes on something, she really throws herself into it, and then she's just like, goes back to her kind of lazy ways. And
yeah, crawls back into her cave.
and I'm like,
But like
yeah.
crazy, like the things that she's done. I think I've said this before, but like,
Mhm.
selling like there's this in Central Park, there's a really famous field. It's called Sheep's Meadow, and that's
Yeah.
where they have all the big concerts. And like they decided to do like a one-woman show there in like, I don't know, the 60s, 70s. And they had the most people that have ever showed up to Sheep's Meadow ever. And, like just her mystical life,
Yeah.
it's cool. And now she's like, yeah, I don't really want to do any of that anymore. And it's like, and also, like, I had a really good sandwich that day. Like the pastrami was cut just right from this like one restaurant. It's like
Uh,
all about the what coat she was wearing, what sandwich she was eating, and then like this amazing thing that she was doing at the same time. So
just aspirational stuff throughout.
totally,
Nice.
totally.
That's nice. Yeah, so the crack with me, like we're, starting to get into the weeds with the choir again. We have our next concert coming up at the end of next month, and we're trying to get like t-shirts and stuff done for that, which is presenting some challenges, but is
Do
going
you need help?
okay, I think. No, no,
Need
we
help?
have it.
Okay.
We're trying to source locally and stuff, and I
Okay.
think we found something. Um, but it's now again gearing up to selling tickets and trying to figure out all the stuff for the hall again, and me figuring out whether I'm going to need to like hire a van again and so on and so forth. So I am yeah, just getting ready for that. It's
Are they paying you yet?
no.
Okay.
It, like no, I there was funding that came through for like last year, some or last term, I guess. I don't even know what to call them. We could grab like these 12-week blocks, and I guess they're terms anyway. Um,
Order?
yeah, and we're doing that, and like we got a bit of funding last year, and it was if we're giving you funding, this is what it's for. So I'm getting some money from that, and like it's this hilarious thing where places are like, yeah, we want to give grants to charities, and you're like, great, we need this money for this year. It has only come through last week. It isn't officially in our hands yet, but it like arrives, 3 months after 4 months actually after the final event that they are apparently, giving us the money for has happened. So that's been fun, but it's come through eventually, so that's good. But like it's one of those things where I'm getting it and it's immediately going out. We have do you have in your country like a rates bill? Like it's essentially like every year you essentially pay the government for the house that you have and the amount of land that it takes up for like its
Yeah.
kind of taxes. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
like as soon as that money comes in, it's going straight out for that.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
But again, something for it. Getting something for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
In California, it's interesting. Like you buy a house, no one sells their houses here
yeah.
because if you sell it, like there are people that have owned their houses since like the 60s, because
Mm.
that's the tax rate that they pay. As soon as you sell it for like $3 million, then that new owner has to pay all that tax. So they just pass houses down.
It's just absurd.
That's
Like,
not true. It's California. People pay up the ass because they can afford it.
yeah, this
I
is the
don't know
thing.
how. I don't know how. I don't know how.
The
Like we're
rich,
barely hanging on.
you're
So
you're all basically celebrities out there in California anyway, right?
you're welcome, Andy.
Is my understanding anyway. Um,
You should be paying me.
very much so. I do I think I'm at the stage, and like I'd said even before that I didn't think I could go much longer past this term in terms of in the role that I'm in.
Yeah.
So the question becomes whether I, take a step back because I really haven't been able to sing, and I won't be able to sing in the show because I'll have so much else to do. So I don't know. I'm really feeling the absence of that. So I am. I really want to be able to sing. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna see how the rest of this term goes, and we'll see from there. Because I feel like the choir's in much better organizational shape as well now. So
So you could
it's
pass it off to somebody else. What's that movie or show where they're like, all I want to do is sing? And they're like, it's sorry. Do you know
that
what I'm
does ring a
talking about?
bell. Yeah, and I can't think what it is.
It's something. It's probably
I,
Monty Python.
I'm having a memory of somebody going, and I want to sing, and every time they want to sing, they keep getting shut down. There was a bit
Yes, yes, yes.
is it Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
I
There's
think it
like
is.
one of like Princes keeps wanting to sing and he keeps like getting pushed
Yes, the lights will
away.
come
So
on and the
yeah.
music will start to
Yeah, so
swell,
they're
and then
like,
they
no, no,
like,
no,
yes.
no, 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 no. Yeah, it definitely isn't that.
That's you, Andy.
Yeah. That is me, yeah. I'm like, I want to sing, and they're like, no, 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 Andy, no,
No, no,
no.
no, no, no. Here's some
Get it,
paperwork.
get this box.
Are we ready, man? Right.
Yeah. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's been kind of what my crack's been over the past wee while. Um, but yeah, had you have any what's occurring for this week?
The website is a shithole
Hey,
right now.
hey, hey, hey. Did you trash talk our website?
So I'm working on it, but like I know the icons are all like the wrong size. I cannot, and it's like it's populating, like I'll upload a photo or like a chapter,
Uh-huh.
whatever, an episode, and it'll populate it like on a totally different page. I
The
don't know
fuck?
why. And like now I'm having to go and check it's so annoying. It's a work in progress, and
Yeah,
I swear we're professionals because we're not actually professionals at all. We're just
no,
doing this for fun.
very much
And the
so.
website showcases that.
Yes. As
And
with the
probably will continue to do
yeah,
so.
as with the audio production as an experiment, as it goes. But it's
So
been getting better for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hearing no complaints. And if I
Yeah.
do, I shut that shit
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. You're getting banned if you complain. You're out of here. Yeah.
So how about
I
you?
no, I had a friend. He sent me, I'm gonna forget the details of it now, but essentially, um, a video of this guy out in Eastern Europe, I believe, who he essentially has this we sort of train like a land train, um, and he like takes dogs out on like little trips around villages and stuff like that, and it just made me think of your friend. I gotta find details of this. It's you because does your friend have a dog bus or does he just take them out on dog
She's got
walks?
the dog bus.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hi, Meg.
Hi,
Yeah, so
Meg.
it's like a whole it's a thing. She like makes the paper probably once every couple of years, and it's a blue bus that she painted blue, obviously, but all the neighbors, like she repaints it once a year, and all the neighbor kids come out
Uh-huh.
and they all write, and paint things on it. And then it's so sweet because like it breaks down all the time, and she's like, I had a friend come pick up me and the 15 dogs, and it's like all of them like in the car together, and I love it. So
That's
yeah.
the
And
dream
so
right
she does.
there.
She takes the dogs to all these wonderful places all around the Portland area and like just lets them run free, and
That's
they're all so
amazing. What
happy. It
what a
really is.
life.
I know, I
I
know, I know.
so I have the details here now because you'd be mad at me otherwise, right? Correctly so. So a man in Ankara has a wee train for disabled dogs and takes them on road
Oh,
trips on streets they otherwise wouldn't see.
so sweet.
Isn't it?
I love it.
So
There's
me
this
too.
gentleman that lives across the street. I have it, it's like not across the street, but like, I don't know, 10 houses down.
Hmm.
I think he's an introvert,
Hmm.
which is fine. So I'm not
We
pressing,
stand.
but he takes his dog, like obviously his dog is old and like still likes to, he has a little basket for it and it's got
Uh-huh.
little sunglasses,
Hell
and
yeah.
he takes it every day for like multiple walks.
Yep.
And I just love it. There's a lot of
Sure.
people that have dogs in like, maybe it's a California thing, but in like strollers.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
You see some of that here. You see some of that here, but not much. But
okay.
definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have like doggy daycare?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, there's too many, like, it's a bit dogs are, I mean, I think we share that with the US generally in that there's such a big dog contingent in this
Yeah.
country for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like the farther you get out from the city, there's less doggy hotels and doggy daycares
Oh, interesting.
because dogs are like we went to the mini pig farm just to hang out with the mini pigs. So
Hmm.
great. And they have like working dogs where they're like that's
Yeah.
their job. They
So
don't you're
cool.
not allowed to pet them and they're their sole job is to caretake for the animals. And like we're by a chicken farm too, and they have like a llama and then dogs that are just like they're working dogs and working llamas to
I
keep
love
away
it.
the coyotes and the cougars. I know.
Wait, working llamas?
Yes.
What do the working llamas do?
They like kick the shit out of coyotes and chase
Whoa,
them.
really? I suppose
Yeah.
they're big units, so that's not massively
They're
surprising.
scary shape.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if
yeah.
you've never seen a llama before, I'd be like, it's like
I
seeing a camel for the first time.
there we actually have bizarrely that it wouldn't be something you would have seen years ago. There are a couple of farms close to here that there are llamas in, which is always such a treat because ordinarily it's just like, yep, some more sheep, yep, some more cows. But when you see a llama, you're like, ooh, how exciting. So yeah, this is as thrilling as it can get over here sometimes.
Like, ooh, it's a llama.
Seeing a llama instead of a cow or a sheep
We have a
really gets the
camel farm.
heart racing.
We have a camel farm. I haven't been to it yet, but I've driven by and smelled the camel shit. But they
Nice.
like milk the camels and you can buy camel milk.
Oh, nice. Wow. Okay. How interesting. Yeah, I don't know that I fancy that, but again, it's one of those things, when it comes to milk, how acceptable it is to drink cow milk, but other animals' milk are kind of like,
Yeah, no, no, goat milk, no, camel milk, no. I
cow
know.
milk, yes, please, somehow.
Well, that's it's like the cow milk industry,
Yeah.
the Got Milk campaign. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys had that over there. Yeah.
Not really. We had versions of it. I think we did have versions of it, but again, I was familiar with it because I would have got American comic books and they would have those ads and stuff in them. So yeah. But yeah.
They were advertising in comic books. Of course they would be.
Yeah, there's tons of advertisements of comic books. Yeah, you just turn over a page and you'd be like, big reveal, what's about to happen? Advertisement. It's like great. Of course there is.
Such dicks.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know if we have nothing else, maybe time to move on to today's topic. We're just gonna be talking about comedy. This week's episode is called Comedy and Friends. And I
Because we're
suppose
friends and we like comedy. Get it?
that's true, right? Do you need us to
So
explain it
good
to
at
you,
naming things.
dumbasses? Sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean that. It was only a joke. I don't think
He's
you're
so
dumbasses.
mean.
I love you.
Sorry to everyone he does. I swear.
Yeah, Beth, please apologize for me. I'm on one today. I'm still feeling the effects of the cold, okay? It's
Oh
not, it's
God,
actually,
I forgot to ask you how your cold is
I'm
doing.
okay.
You're
I,
still
yeah, I'm
here.
still here. I didn't see any Andy was a brave little soldier comments last time. I could do with some, to be perfectly honest with you. It would be useful in any stage of my life. So if you want to, that would be really helpful. But even without those, I still have managed to soldier through the nightmare that is having a cold, and I am me surviving today is proof that any of us
You
can make
can
it
too.
can make it through these things. But anyway, I digress. Our topic today is comedy and friends. We're going to be talking about comedies, stuff that makes us laugh, and just about comedy in general, I think as well. So yeah, Beth, do you have anything you want to kick us off with?
Mm,
All
I
right, so
guess,
mhm.
of course. Who are your favorite comedy troops?
Oh wow, okay, so Monty Python obviously, I mean, like, is pretty big for us over
You have
here.
to say that.
You have to say that. You do. I mean, like, even, you know, growing up, and I was like, what, 10, 20 years after when I was watching that sort of stuff, it was still played a lot. So it was because it was so absurdist and sort of interesting, it still draws you in, even though it still felt dated to me at the time when I was watching it. It was like it felt a wee bit old hat. But like things that like I really loved were like Kids in the Hall played over here, which was really important to me as a kid. I really kind of loved that. I'm
I
trying to
saw
think.
them live.
Is it nice? Very
Yeah.
nice. There was
And they did like all the old shtick.
th-
Did you
there
see?
Uh-huh.
because I also love them. So I'm just gonna riff off of you. Did you see they had like a Kids in the Hall reunion?
I did the show. I watched it. It was great. Did you like
So
it?
I loved it so much. Um, there was a skit where it's like the radio DJ,
Yes, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, but it's like the end of the world, and like, so he's only got one record, and the song is "I've got a brand new pair of roller skates." So we like there was a period of time where we were living in Mike's parents' basement,
Hmm.
and it would be like, you live with someone, and like, uh, you'd start seeing the same patterns or doing the same thing. And so one of us would just be like we would have the same conversation again, and one of us would be like, brand new apparel. And like we would each know, like, oh, we're just in this place again. Where
It
you
was
just kind of
so,
stare off into the distance.
yeah,
So everyone watch their reunion.
it was great.
It was so good.
It
So
was
good.
because
And they
like
brought back the old characters.
they did. And like even some of the new stuff they did was great. I mean, like, and it's some of these one of those things that whenever you hear about it, you're like, these things can go so badly wrong so quickly, especially when it comes to comedy. But I think they really pulled it off. It was
Yeah.
very funny.
Yeah.
Still really sharp, really on it, really good stuff.
Yeah. I and like just it's kind of outlandish, weird, quirky, has nothing to do with anything humor,
Yeah.
and I kind of dig it. So
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey Mike, I have to do an episode on comedy." And he was like, "Comedy is the sum of like pure absolute genius." And I was like, "Are you saying Andy and I are geniuses?"
I mean, he clearly is.
I know.
Yeah, he's trying to not to overtly say it, but he wants to backdoor
He was
that
like, "Put it
compliment.
on a
Yeah,
t-shirt and like sign your names."
perfect. Perfect.
So, but I love that because it's true.
Yeah.
It's like real genius to me is like something that can like, because it's hard to make people laugh. It is
Yes.
hard, hard, hard. It is hard to do comedy. Uh, I've done it on the stage and it's hard.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, it truly is. And like I think there's something that, really in terms of like bearing your soul, it is a very much a this is every part of me. And I think what I find, especially when it comes to comedy, is that people's reactions to it, compared to other like forms of media or forms of entertainment, are really strong. Like they're either I love it or I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, okay. It's
Yeah.
just comedy. Because I think whenever some people don't find something funny and they're told it's supposed to be, they almost have like a revulsion to it. It's kind of wild how strong the emotions are around comedy.
Yes. And I think it depends on, well, I want to get into like comedy as like an art form a
Yeah.
little bit later. So I'm going to answer my question too. Did you
Mhm.
ever watch this? Did you get access to the State on MTV in like the 90s?
I know what it is, and I know that like Stephen Colbert and stuff was on it, but I never
I don't think he was on it. It was like
was he
Michael Ian
not?
Black.
Yes.
No. You would like if you look up the State, like you'll totally recognize them.
I think I'm aware of it. I just don't think I don't think we really got it, or certainly I didn't experience it as a kid, but I know what it is. I there must be a different one that Colbert was in, but yes, anyway, yes, it's I have heard of that trip.
So they're my favorite.
Uh-huh.
And like I cannot tell you, I ended up, I remember Mike and I were dating, and this is when I still had like a VHS player. And I was like, we have to sit down and watch because I got all they did like, I don't know, 10 episodes or something on MTV. And so I was like, I got all the best of the State. Like, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna watch this. And
Hmm.
if he laughs and thinks it's funny, then that
It's
means
yeah.
like, yeah, right. I guess it was a little bit of it. Like, yeah, I was horrible at testing him. Um, so he laughed his ass off. And there's this one skit where like it's with this couple and they're gonna make out, and he's like, "Oh, your hormones." She's like, "My hormones. What about your hormones?" And then like all the dudes jump up and like they're either dressed in pink or blue, and their hormones, and they're
Nice.
dancing, and like it's this whole skit about like dancing hormones, and it's so fucking funny. I'm gonna get the clip and send it to
Yeah,
you.
dude, please do.
They're so funny. And then I would say my all-time favorite comedy troupe is Broken Lizard.
Yeah,
who
the guys that
did
did Super Troopers and
Super
stuff.
Troopers.
Hmm.
Yep. What is it? Slam and Salmon, Beer
Yeah.
Fest, obviously Super Troopers too, but Super Troopers like was by far their favorite, my favorite, and their best.
Yes. It's um the sorry, something. The one that started just before there was. I was going to ask you was Fast Show. Do you know it? It's a UK one.
No,
Okay.
Fast Show.
Yeah, it probably never came to the US. I could see why, but like a lot of actors you would recognize. I think that they were actors that probably ended up appearing like in movies and things like that. But it was such a kind of a big one in the UK, I think, certainly when I was growing up. And that was the idea was the sketches were really quick, but it really did get kind of bleak
Gotcha.
and absurd and really fantastic. The one, and I only came to it like quite late on, was that I really loved from that time would have been Mr. Show. I really liked a lot of that. So it's David Cross and
Oh,
Bob
I
Odenkirk.
love David Cross.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So like, and
I
I
saw him walking on the street once,
oh, how
and I was like,
exciting.
an
Ah,
artist.
yeah. Yes, so good. Um, so like I only came to it like as I say, I don't think it was something that really played over here very much. I only came to it like kind of late on and just adored it as well. But like it's one of those things that like I just don't think certainly I'm not exposed to quite as many of those sorts of groups these days at all, really, There probably are out there. I know I kind of know there are there's like a group called the Birthday Boys, which I kind of know those guys as individual sort of improvisers and stuff. And I like those sorts of things, but it feels like those sorts of concepts as shows don't get quite as much traction as they maybe used to.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I haven't heard of any either. And like, obviously, I'm not tracking it, but if I don't know about it, and I know I pretty much track everything. So if I don't know about it, it means it's not happening.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Clearly.
Yeah. That makes
So,
sense. That makes sense.
but I wonder if it's just kind of like like everyone's like, Second City, and like you've got to go through the paces in order to
Yes.
get on Saturday. Like it's like you do the comedy troops in order to get on Saturday Night Live. That's kind of like the funnel, or the
Yeah.
Daily Show, right? The heavy hitters, and or Nickelodeon. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother thing. But
Yeah. I suppose
I
it's that.
don't I feel bad. It's like I hope it's not like a dying art form.
Well, I guess, like, I mean, I suppose, there's that, SNL obviously is still ongoing, and there's like other sort of places for that. And I think that, like, there is so much of a pathway to, not these days kind of creating your own content on YouTube and things like that. There's maybe just not as big a space for that
That's true.
anymore, or they kind of, have their own other ways of kind of getting there. Like the one, and again, it's most of these things I just get into as like, um years too late was The Whitest Kids You Know, which was one from about 10 years ago.
The wildest kids,
No, The Whitest Kids You Know.
whitest kids,
And it was only after one of the guys died and people started sending me sketches, which I adored. There's like a really incredible sketch, just really amazing sort of dumb setups that really I love a kind of really stupid setup that's taken to extremes. And one of the favorite ones, I'll send this to you and put it up, is about like these guys getting ready for like a shuttle launch, and the pilot's late, and he comes in, he's got like a bag of stuff, and they're like, so he's like seated in his central position, and they're behind him, but he's like elevated above them, and he keeps trying to like eat things, and it's like getting all over them, and like that's the sketch, and it is so good. It just makes me almost cry laughing every time. Um, and it's just them shouting his name and getting really angry at him. But
I
yeah.
love it. Listeners, please send us comedy troupe
Please do.
names.
Recommendations, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always hip and excited to watch. I
Very
do.
much so.
I think it's part of it is because we're like I think it's because of improv, where
Yeah,
I'm like, this is so fun. It's so cool. Like, whose
it
line
is.
is it anyway? All of
Yes.
that, like giving
Uh,
birth to being the baby. What was the baby deer that was being born? What's the guy's name? Ugh.
oh, wait. Like Jim Carrey? No, 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 no.
No, he was no, I don't. I'm
Ryan
not gonna.
Stiles, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah,
maybe.
quite
Yes.
possibly. Yeah, he's great.
Okay.
He's great.
they're so good.
Because like
So
we had
funny.
it over here, we had a UK version, but it was mostly the same guys as you had
It's probably
in
funnier.
no, I mean it was broadly the same as my understanding, but it was the same, like Rand Stiles, Colin Mockery, Greg
Yeah.
Proops, a lot of the
Yep.
guys that you would have had, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like I think one of the things that I had wanted to ask you about was, do you like so physical sort of like slapstick comedy is has always been it's maybe not so much these days, but like has always been such a fundamental part of like British humor, I think. Like, and I think about things like, and these were the same comedians working in that area, but I think about things like the young ones, or this has been in my head recently. There's a show called Bottom, which
Mm-hmm.
was we talked about him recently. Rick Meal, who was Fred
Mm-hmm.
and Drop Dead Fred,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a partner, comedy partner called Ed Edmondson, and they just did these things like these absurdist comedies with like really kind of physical, kind of slapstick sort of humor. And this show Bottom in particular was just these two kind of losers living together and these unlikely situations they got in, and they would have fights and they would be ridiculously violent and really over the top. And I would be like in tears laughing, like uncontrollable laughter in a way that I have never really experienced before or after, you know. So it was just, I don't know, it's something that still is in my head a lot, you know. And they recently did a sort of a retrospective kind of documentary type thing, which was really kind of wonderful kind of uh, you know, it's one of these things where you look back and it was like so stupid, but it meant so much to so many people, you know. And it's always kind of funny to look back at these things and know that a lot of the people involved still look at it, you know, fondly as well.
I think for us, and here I am speaking for all of the
Hmm.
United States of America.
As we both do. I speak for the
Right,
you're yeah.
right. The whole UK.
Yeah.
Um, I think, well, my after school program was going to the library
Uh-huh.
that my mom worked in because my dad was a professor, my mom was a librarian, and so we would go and we would like look at books on the microfiche,
Yeah.
or if we were lucky, we could watch the VHS tapes. That's how I started on The Flying Nun. Also, The
Huh.
Three Stooges. And
Yeah.
so I watched every single
Good
episode of The Three
point.
Stooges by
Mm-hmm.
the time I was like 8 years old. So I think like, and the black and white films like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, like I think I just had that, but that was
Built in.
like my,
Yeah.
yeah. So but I don't feel like we were as clever with the slapstick
Hmm.
after that period of time. And like once America's Funniest Home Videos started, then it was like slapstick was
Kind of replaced by
people heard,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's where it went, which is a shame, right? It's
it
like because
is.
physical comedy is like a funny thing. Um,
Yeah, that's an interesting
if
observation,
you can do
actually.
it right and you know the
Yeah,
tricks.
it's
And
true.
like sometimes you do hurt yourself. So it became America's Funniest Home Videos and or like WWF, WWE.
Yeah,
Honestly, like
that's
that was
true.
like physical comedy was just like
Some good
people
stuff in
hurting
there.
themselves. I know.
That's yeah. It's you know, and it's funny because like I was recently watching a thing about like Chevy Chase as well, and he was so good at that sort
Mm,
of thing. But then, you know, like he kind of like torpedoed his career by being a massive asshole, apparently.
yeah.
That's right, so I'm told.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Um, so like it's but yeah, it's I think I don't know, there's something I don't know, there's really guileless and kind of I mean obviously and I think I was too old to really appreciate it, but like um Mr. Bean was such a massive
Oh
sort of,
yeah.
you know, and I know he
We
was
had
like
Mr. Bean.
international, you know, but like my problem with that show in
It
particular was that Rowan Atkinson was in a show called Blackadder before that, which was kind of like, you know, well written and smart. And I was like, what's this stupid nonsense? Him doing all this crap, you know. So I was like quite, you know, arsy about the whole thing. Uh
RC.
yeah. Just this isn't the sort of humor that he should be doing, sort of, you know, that sort of attitude.
Yeah.
And I so like I definitely like and I was definitely of an age where I was you know starting to you know trying to be intellectual, I guess, you know. Has that era ever stopped for me is the question. Maybe not. but so like I was like, this is kind of beneath me, but I can now look back at that and see how meticulously crafted it was, how, what an incredible, and like, and how smart that was in terms of it having international appeal because it was completely wordless. I think there's something really kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of talent involved in kind of making something like that work.
Absolutely. Like, is it Wallace and Gromit
Yes.
that are, it's also wordless? I had a
No,
parrot.
there's a fair bit of talking about Wallace
There's
and Gromit.
okay.
Yeah.
There's a few, well, yeah,
Maybe
Shaun the
Shaun the
Sheep.
Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah, is
One of them,
wordless.
I had a parrot that loved watching Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep. So I would like when we would leave town, or not leave town, but like leave the house, then I'd like roll her cage and put her in front of the TV and she'd be like parroting.
Yeah.
She
That's
gets super
yeah.
excited. Another one I wanted to ask if it was popular in your country is Pee-wee Herman and Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I don't think we had Pee-wee's Playhouse, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure as a movie, I remember seeing as a kid. Like, I think because he was what that uh Pee-wee's Playhouse and like Pee-wee Herman was like 80s, maybe.
It was 80s. Yeah.
I I think like when I first saw it,
Like late 80s.
it was a bit too weird for me as a like I saw when I was quite young and I was like I didn't know quite what to make of it, but I really came to appreciate him as time went on. Like I remember really liking him and like Mystery Men and things like that.
Hmm.
And kind of then like moving back
He,
and going, okay,
yeah.
this guy rules.
He was also in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie,
Oh,
like
was
playing a
he?
vampire. So funny. Yeah. He dies really well. He's like, but for like 5 minutes.
He seems so great. Like he
Yeah.
had an amazing reputation. It seems like I know that after he died, a lot of
Oh
like
my
other comedians,
gosh.
yeah,
It was like the outpouring.
yeah.
He would send everyone their own individual special happy birthday message.
Yes, that's I
And I
remember
was
hearing about that.
like years of this,
What a
right? And
nice
I'm
guy.
like, yeah, what a nice thing. I don't say happy birthday to anybody,
Yeah.
including myself.
Yes.
Like,
I hear you. Yeah.
so I don't know. It inspires me to like be a better person,
Yeah.
and then I don't. So, because
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
it's like him, he's one of those guys that got like arrested for like being in a porn theater and it's like, I let the guy be in a porn theater. He's not doing anybody any harm.
If yes,
But anyway.
yeah,
Um yeah, and like so we didn't I don't think we had Pee-wee's Playhouse. I have heard of it, but I don't think it was ever something, so
it
not to
was
my
so
knowledge,
big
shown
here. It
over
was
here.
so
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, I remember all the like kids in second grade were all dressed up like Pee Wee Herman
I love
for Halloween, and it was just like, you know, the
it. It's
probably the nicest dressed our generation ever was.
that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Who are your favorite comedian?
Um, I think I think we started with this before, but I think probably Stuart Lee is my like he
Yes.
is British comedian who I really love, and
Mm,
because like I don't know, I do like people who um like poke their finger in the eye of like established comedy, um, and he is so good at that and he's so good at like puncturing it and like I find his live shows incredible because he really does his best to make the audience angry at him and then slowly wins you back as time goes on, and I just think it's such a kind of audacious thing to do. The My other favorite comedian, sorry, other favorite local comedian, UK comedian, is a guy called Daniel Kitson, who is playing while you're here, but it's when we're down in Dublin. I would have totally got you a ticket.
ah,
Otherwise, I was like, nuts the time, but it is what it is.
is
Where
that what the one you sent me?
I don't know.
No, no,
I
that
don't
was
think I
the guy in New
said,
York.
I think I
What
said,
was his name?
the guy in New York. Who was
New
that?
York.
Oh no, I don't know.
The
I'll have
one
to
you
go
were
back.
like, this is funny, it's on HBO, and it's like him just like videotaping New Yorkers being weird.
No, no, no. What that was that was John Wilson, who is also a
John
comedy
Wilson. Right, right,
genius.
right.
I think he
Kitchen, Wilson.
shows. Yes, he actually in the most recent season, he's a really good example of I think what I really like in comedy, which is something that I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. Somebody doing something that is so particular to them that just like really tickles me. So like his it's not strictly a comedy show, but he essentially starts off an episode with an idea. So The one that I watched recently was about him trying to find a place to like go to the toilet in New York City, and what it leads him to
Been there.
yeah, and like he just like there's loads of videos of like just half full people sitting in the street and stuff like that, and he but the paths this takes him down, because he films everything, like he went through his life like filming anything and everything, and he thought, well, I could turn this into something, and he just like goes and talks to people, and he has interviews, and he's like, can I see your house or whatever? They talk about their house, and he goes inside their house, and there was a lady there who was like kind of getting an RV ready, and he's like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm going to Burning Man. And he goes, can I come with you? And he goes to Burning Man with her, and he like says, I filmed 7 days of incredible footage, but at the end, Burning Man told me that I wasn't allowed to use it because another company had exclusive rights for doing a documentary or whatever. And but like, he kind of, it just, but then that sends him on a different path, and he arranges a trip with this guy who like is a septic, a guy called Stinky Steve, who like specializes in septic tanks, and this guy, but you think it's going one way, and you think he's just going to talk about that, but the guy starts going, so I bought this old missile silo, and I'm turning it into like a bunker for my family.
So great.
And he just goes into the silo, and then he's talking to the wife, who's going, I don't want to live in a silo, and it just kind of goes in these really weird directions, and like every episode is kind of like that. But
What?
so it's called How To with John Wilson, but it's very good. I think.
I love it. I'm gonna watch it. I love like people being people,
Yes.
and
Oh,
like
you'll
you
love
just
that show.
never and also when someone can actually get someone comfortable enough to show who they really are
Yes.
and find the humor and the humanity in it
Yeah.
without like making fun of them
Yes.
necessarily. Although like some of the things that the New Yorkers were doing in the preview that you sent me, like hanging upside down over a job site where they're like
Yes.
doing construction, like playing the flute, like wearing short shorts, you know?
Such a
Um,
such a fertile ground for a series like that,
it
living
really
in New
is.
York,
It
really.
really is. It really is. It's like it's kind of, I was like, this could be Los Angeles too, because it's like you just see things
Yeah. Yeah.
that you never thought you'd see. Like the LA story, it's like that is literally what Los Angeles is like. And like
Yeah.
some guys walking down the street with a horse head on. Why not?
Yeah.
You
Exactly. Why
know?
not? Why not? Um,
I love
is there
it.
any sort of other, like, I guess, modern
Yes.
comedy stuff that you are into?
I
Or do you
love
have a
Jim
favorite
Gaff.
modern comedian? Sorry.
Jim Gaffigan
Yes.
is like making his way back into my heart.
Yes.
Not that he ever left, but like I love, and I guess I want to talk a little bit about like what makes things funny and like what comedy holds up over time
Yeah.
and what comedy doesn't. But like Jim Gaffigan somehow manages to not offend anybody,
Yeah. It's
like
true.
make people feel like shit. Um, makes fun of himself. Um, really blew up Hot Pocket,
Yes, I remember that sketch in
right?
particular. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and it like his comedy to me, like I've listened back to and like I remember seeing him live, like I don't know, like a decade ago or more, and he was so funny. And to the point where like I bought the CDs to listen to,
Hmm.
and like him making whale sounds. I don't know why. It's like hilarious. So I think, and also I would say George Carlin is one of my favorites. And I was listening
Yes.
to um who's the guy that's an actor who did the song Asshole?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, so I'll let you look in your mind garden.
Thank
But
you.
I think that there are some things that
Dennis Leary.
like Dennis Leary, right? Like
Mhm.
his comedy is, it's like it doesn't hold up over time. It's not, it's just
Yeah,
like it's almost like and I don't know, my theory, since you asked, Andy,
I did. Yeah. Uh-huh.
is I think it's like the more you hone in on like what's a popular topic at the time, instead of like broader strokes, bigger picture about life in general,
Yeah.
like that's what kind of like it's funny this week, but like in a year, is anyone going to remember that comedy
Yeah.
special about,
That's yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I think he does that. Does thread that needle quite well. I really do. I think he does a good job with it. And like I've only seen a handful of his stuff, but I've always sorry, Gaffigan I'm talking about again here, but like
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely think yeah, he does hit that. One of the people I was going to ask you about whenever and I
Can
think
I just real
yeah,
quick? I went and saw George Carlin and like he came out
he's awesome.
and he's so awesome. And like this holds up over time. At the time, everyone was like, oh my goodness. But he was like, he was right. He was like, took a swig of his water and he's like, fuck Lance Armstrong. And everyone's like, ha ha ha. And this is before like all the stuff came out.
Yep.
And it was like, and you know what? Fuck Tiger Woods too. And everyone was like, oh, and this is before like all the stuff had come out. And now in retrospect, I'm just like, damn,
Yeah.
he could see the future.
Yeah. He he seemed like I mean like I think he was smart and I don't think he suffered fools gladly, but he seemed like a
No.
kind man. Do you know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
counts for a lot as well. And like he
Yeah.
seemed he had good opinions on things as well, which I always quite liked.
His
Uh,
essays, if you ever get a chance to read them,
I haven't. I must
they're
actually. I did not know he
yeah.
hadn't.
So I'll
Okay.
send you my favorite
Do.
one about I think it's his wife and how much he loves her.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I would love to
Yeah.
read that actually. Um,
Okay.
the person who was occurring to me when we were talking about that was somebody. Do you know Mitch Hedberg?
No.
Oh shit, you would love Mitch Hedberg. I think he is like and I for both of us, I think he speaks to like he was a guy who just kind of stood on stage and he did like basically one or two liners and he was so nervous about being on stage he wore sunglasses all the entire time and he has I think it's called strategic grill locations I want to say is the album that I
That is a that is a thing. There are strategic grill locations. I was
I
watching Mike cook chicken the other day, and I was like watching him move it around in all the right places on the
yes,
grill.
I got it right. I got it right. So that's the
Yeah.
one. Check out that album. I think you would really dig it.
Okay.
He just like some of his jokes aren't even jokes. They're just like thoughts that he's had that he just kind of like says and then he moves on to the next thing. And he just, but as I say, I think he really kind of, and it's something else I wanted to touch on when we were talking about this subject, but like
Mhm.
he was so crippling nervous. He had to put sunglasses on. He didn't want to make eye contact with people. He like kind of is looking at the ground most of the time, but he's brilliant, like so funny. Um, but it's definitely one to investigate. I think it's in a a comedy form that I think maybe some people look down upon as well. But like I think he kind of really elevated it, But he was somebody who very much struggled with like mental health issues and things like that, and he really had a hard time. And it's something like it feels like such a commonality in a lot of comedians. You know what I mean? Like so many like comedy guys suffer in some way or another, whether that's with depression or with some other sort of maybe perhaps more serious mental health issues. Um, it's such it feels like that sort of instinct for comedy kind of sits so close to that sort of mindset.
I wanted to talk about that. Like
Yeah,
I was thinking because I I still am like grieving the loss of Robin Williams, as I'm sure we all are. And like I remember him talking about like some of the quotes that have come out, of interviews where people are like, oh, like this means so much more. And now you know, knowing that he dealt with depression his whole life,
yeah,
how are you so fucking funny and
yeah,
yet, like, and a lot of comedians are introverts, a lot of
yeah,
comedians, aren't funny at home,
yeah, yeah,
that's like, that's their, it's like there's some magic switch that they turn on and they get, it's like a drug for them.
yeah.
And I'm just, it's quite amazing. And it's
Eh,
like I saw a video of him dressed up as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and he actually like went out and cheered with them the whole game. And I'm just like, who does that? Who does that?
I
And then I
the
remember Mike, I think, did I tell you this? Mike was in this area in Oregon, and it's an area where there's a rehab center, and Williams walked in, and so Mike bought him a cup of coffee,
nice. That's awesome.
and I was like, you He's like, yeah, and he said thank you, and he was very nice, and we chatted a little bit, and I was just like, you really haven't really pick up a power, like, just like, I hope that that helped him, like,
Yeah,
with his day,
yeah, very much so. Because he like definitely seems like a guy with, or was a guy with demons, So I'm sure,
and
like,
cocaine,
yeah, true.
demons and cocaine.
Yeah. I like somebody treating him like a human being rather than I don't know, like an automated joke machine. Like I think it was, and I looked up his name. Hannibal Buress did like a thing where he talked about being in Edinburgh. So we have like Fringe Festival over here, which is a pretty big
Hmm.
thing. And then in Edinburgh, I should say, rather than over here.
Hmm.
And it's like a
I
month.
love him.
He's amazing,
He's so
and
funny.
he like there's a lot of comedians go about the city, but like just stop by somebody and they're like, "Hey, you're a comedian, aren't you? Make me
Tell a
laugh."
joke.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no. It's like, no. I'm not going to do that. It's not how it works. And it is kind of ridiculous. And as I say, I think I don't know, or I think it is very easy and common for people to see people kind of going, well, that's easy. It's not hard. I could do that. I could stand up on stage and tell some jokes, and we probably have no real idea just how much sort of uh, energy and how much kind of effort is required in going up on stage and doing that sort of thing. It really is.
Do you think you have to be tortured to be funny?
Um, yeah, like
Or what is it?
I think all of the kind of properly funny people who are funny to me, like I think there are plenty of people who are like complete hacks who, will have very successful careers, but I don't think will leave a body of work that will like stand the test of time. I think there's plenty of those sorts of people. But I think for me, all the people I find really funny, all too often I'll be like, oh, I hear them talking and they have some sort of mental health thing, they have something going on. Um,
I
very
wonder
much so.
if it's like a combination of like really, I don't know. It's like when you go through things, the more you go through stuff, the more you understand your own human condition and therefore the human condition.
Yeah. I
And it's like that's what's funny.
yeah,
It's the
I
human condition.
yes, and it's the absurdity of life. Yeah, very much so. Like, and I think the more you appreciate that, the more you can kind of draw that out and kind of create whatever it is, whatever your medium is, whether that's stand up or sketches or whatever it
Mhm.
is. Yeah, I think so, very much so.
Do you want to talk about Danny McBride?
Yes, hell yeah, I do. Like I think. Well, for a start, if anybody hasn't watched The Righteous Gemstones, you should. It's a masterpiece. I think nearly everything all the shows that he's done have been really fantastic. I think that the pilot episode of Eastbound and Down is one of the like perfect comedy
That's
pilots ever
yes.
made. I
Yes.
really do.
That's
Like,
I'd like never gotten HBO and I was like, I'm getting HBO for this show
yeah,
because I don't know, I don't even remember, but someone was like, oh, Eastbound and Down, or like I saw, I think maybe like an advert for the pilot, and I was like, what is this?
yeah.
So funny.
It comes in an episode. It comes in. It tells you what it is. It delivers in that, and then it like sets up like the rest of the shit season. And it's. I think he's fantastic. I really do. And I think that I wasn't. I enjoyed Vice Principals. I need to go back and revisit that show, but I didn't love it as much
Mhm.
as like.
I kind of like his, his character in Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
So funny. Like his
Yeah.
birthday for his cat, and his cat
Yes.
had died or something, and he's like duct taped to the chair and the toilet, and like,
Have
and then
you?
he's like, "What is it? Like it's a Daewoo bitch." He's got his like bright yellow Daewoo. It's a car in
I kind
America.
of have. Oh, okay. I kind of have a memory of them sitting at the end in the diner, and he's like almost bleeding out as
Like
they're
he's
like having
like
breakfast.
bleeding to death.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so good.
Um.
So
Have,
yeah, I
have
do. I like him in the feature films too.
Yes. I
And
do. I
he's
think
like
I
a
prefer
dad.
shows, but yes.
You don't know, like no one knows anything about his life because he's like so gross and awful.
Yes.
And like, but he's actually a family man who's like got a wife and a family, and
That's good. So good. That's so nice.
yeah,
That makes me very happy to hear, actually.
yeah, yeah.
Have you seen any of the Righteous Gemstones yet?
No.
Oh, you need to go. We talked about it before. It's like
Yeah, I
that's
know.
his most recent one. It's on HBO. It's incredible. You will love it. Like it's so he's part of like this evangelical sort of mega church owning family. It's his father
Okay.
is this pastor, and he is one of three children. It's really incredible. Like it's I really love it.
Six
But yeah, it's definitely worth
six
watching.
Six Flags Over Jesus. That's what we call mega churches. Sorry.
That's good. I like it.
Thanks. Thanks.
Um,
Do you know Dave Ferrier?
Say it again.
David Ferrier.
I don't think I
He
do.
does these like documentaries, kind of similar to what's his name, Wilson, that we're just talking about. Never mind.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, okay,
So
okay.
he does the like finds himself in these situations
Oh, he
and
did the Tickled one. Yes, I
he
have
did
heard about this.
Tickled,
Yes, okay. I have
which
not
is like this
yeah.
underground like tickling
There's this sort of tickling, almost like this sort of tickling underground event
fetish.
thing, fetish thing that seemed fairly harmless, and then he like as he investigated, there was all these kind of really dark layers and things like that. Yeah, yeah.
So he finds himself in these situations
Uh-huh.
and but he carries it like all the way through, even
I
if it's
love
a
it.
bad idea, like even if people are telling him not to do it. And he did another one that was like uh all of basically he went to like all of the most horrible places on the planet, like the Fukushima uh
Oh yeah.
museum and like all like there's a forest in Japan where people commit suicide and
Yep.
it's like kind of like the more dark side of comedy where he's like it's funny at first and then he's like, oh, this is really fucked up and like
Mm.
driving through Fukushima and they're all given Geiger counters and they're all like exploding and he's like, is this normal? And the guy's like, oh, it's fine, and then like yeah.
That's
So
wild. I
but
love it.
he just did one about this. He was writing an article about this. I think this is in New Zealand. This lady that uh and man who owned this like laundromat
Hmm.
and it had a parking lot next to the laundromat. And during the day, like, people would park there, but then at night, like it's still their parking lot. And so people would park there to like go to the club or go out to dinner because the laundromat was closed, thinking like no one's going to tow them. And the guy would block the exit and entrance and charge people like
To get the cars back.
$500 to get their cars out. And so it would
Amazing.
like piss people off. So he's like recording it and like they're letting him do interviews with them. And like you realize they've made like hundreds of thousands of dollars off this game for like a decade or something. It's so, and like the story just gets crazier and crazier and crazier to the point where they're like suing him and he's suing them. And it's just this,
Very interesting.
yeah, it's quite something. So he's just, I don't know. He's like a different kind of humor. And it's
Yeah.
like the human condition, but the human condition at its worst.
Yeah, I that's because I never saw Tickled and I was always curious about it.
You would love it.
Yeah, I think I would.
It's really funny
I'm just
and
looking.
weird.
I'm looking at his stuff now, and I'm definitely going to investigate that because it all
Yeah.
sounds very very interesting to me. Yeah, it's very much my like. 'Cause I mean, um, I think you probably know Louis Theroux as well. Like Louis Theroux. Do you know Louis Theroux? Okay, so he's like a
No.
documentarian. He's
Okay.
not really. He's like an English documentarian, and he's kind of had peaks and troughs, but he very much goes to like down weird paths. He like famously spent some time with um the church that like picketed soldiers' funerals and things like that. Westboro Baptist Church. So like he spent like time with them. He does those sorts of things. He investigates those people, and he really doesn't shy away from difficult questions. He like gets involved. He used to like do comedy stuff as well. He did like a show called Weird Weekends where he spent like time with subcultures. He spent time with wrestlers, and he spent time in like the porn industry and things like that. But he also works, I think, in a similar sort of area as this guy.
Hmm.
Very interesting stuff there as well, I think.
Weird and wonderful.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's just like I love, and that's what I do. I love knowing how people like live their lives and like what things they're into and
Yes.
like it's just
You're so gonna
fascinating.
dig that how to show. You really are, I think. I
Okay.
think you'll
Okay.
like it a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, is there anything else? Because like, I think we're coming. I mean, like it's interesting. I wasn't sure how much we'd have to talk about this subject, but I think I have lots more, so which is really
I do
nice.
too.
A
I
nice
guess
place to be.
I had one last question
Yeah.
for you, which is like the older you get, the more you like blank.
Uh, that's a good one. I guess the older I get, the more I like it's what I've been talking about in this episode, which is I really more than anything like a vision that is uniquely this is me, and I'm completely putting myself out there. I'm opening my heart to you. This is what I think is funny. And it doesn't feel like it has been noted by an executive or whatever. It's just somebody's complete vision out there. I really respond to that. It doesn't even matter if it fully works for me. There's normally something in those things that is just so kind of magical and special and just like I think I've talked before about just things that add a little bit of shade onto the human experience and kind of help me, a weirdo freak, understand the world a little bit more. And I think, you know, uh, incredible comedy can really do that. So yeah, what about you?
Great answer. Mine were lame and like basic, kitschy.
Not at all.
I like murder comedy podcasts.
I like it.
And I like I I'm really shying away from like mean comedy where
Yes.
like people are being put down or like genders are being put
Yes.
down, all that kind of. I'm just like, I guess like comedy that doesn't create more divisiveness, like we have
Yes.
enough of that. And I understand like picking on what's the popular topic, but I guess I really just it makes me appreciate, people like George Carlin
Yeah. Very
even
much so.
more because, some of the things he says, like it's still true today. And that's
Yeah.
that's like, the stuff that should last forever.
I agree. Very much so.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Um, okay, so moving on to something that's very much not a laughing matter. We did ask that most dreaded of questions, Beth, which is what's been bringing you joy this week? Dun dun
Mm,
dun.
why are you asking me that
What an
in our
asshole.
comedy
I know.
episode? What's bringing me joy? You know, it's these little weird things that I guess part of it is like raising human beings and noticing these little moments that matter to them.
Hmm.
Harper went into the dressing room for the first time.
Hmm. Oh wow, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and she was like, I really just want to go into a dressing room and like try on a dress. And I was like, okay, like it's literally like I hate shopping. I
Yeah.
don't remember the last time I was in a fitting room. I hate it. The
Hmm.
whole
Hmm.
like trying things on. I just don't do it. I just buy it. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
fit, I take it back and I buy another size. Um, so just watching her excitement and she's like, look at all the mirrors are everywhere and it's you
Mm.
can see all the different sides. And I'm just like, holy hell, I guess, yeah. Uh, so I guess my joy was seeing the joy that she got in just doing this one little really simple thing.
I
But
like it.
because of COVID, like it wasn't something that was allowed for a long time. We were just shopping online, and it's just like her world is opening at the same time the world is still opening, and those two things happening simultaneously. It's just like really beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. That's a lovely one. That's
So
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that a lot.
And it's a good thing she tried the dress on because it was like two sizes too small. And then I would have been like, fuck.
And now it's our trip
So
back to the shops.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like I feel like whenever I go clothes shopping, sometimes I'm like, hooray! Like first 5-10 minutes, I'm like, this is gonna be fun. And then I'm just like, oh, kill me immediately. I I hate
I
this.
usually, I'm like, maybe I'll get high first and then try it. And then I'm like, nothing looks good.
Yeah,
Everyone's looking
this is
at
the thing.
me.
That just adds a whole other wrinkle onto
Yeah.
the kind of the misery of it.
Yeah.
Um, so what I have written down is, I think I've talked about these before, is what's been bringing me joy recently is cheese and kimchi toasties. So
You have not.
having not, I
No. cheese and kimchi toasties.
Yeah. So it is. So like I've been taking, so we over here in this country, by and large, people have machines for making toasted sandwiches. Um, and I had a bad experience with them as a kid, and I kind of went off them. I never really kind of was able to go
What
back to them.
kind of bad experience did
The,
you have with the
I,
toasty maker?
I just no, well, it was more like I had a toasty and I had food poisoning afterwards, and I
Oh
don't know whether it
no.
was the toasted sandwich or something else, but because that was the last thing that I ate, I associated with it.
Can you
So
explain to the rest of us in the United States of America what a toasty is?
so I guess it's like grilled cheese, you would
Okay.
call them, right?
Do
So
you have them and you have like it's like a grill, like we have like panini grills, and that's
yes,
like a fancy thing.
I
You
just do
put
it in a
the bread
pan.
in there and you George Foreman the crap out of it.
No, I don't have one of those. So our toasty machines were even more elaborate than that. So they were like they were shaped, and you would put the bread in, and you would close it, and it would almost like create it into two triangles, and each filled with if you had cheese or whatever, it would melt the cheese, and it would kind of like so it's kind of hard to describe, but they were almost more caramelized, I guess, than you would get from like a press, so like a panini press or whatever.
Okay.
But I don't have one of those, and so what I've been doing is what I'm led to believe like people did when they had pans, which is I put butter on either sides of two pieces of bread, butter on the outside, set the
Yep.
butter in the pan, cheese, kimchi, a bit more cheese on top, the other piece of bread on top, press it down, let it melt for a bit, flip it over.
Flip it over.
So good. So friggin' good. See, cheese and kimchi is an incredible combination, in my opinion. Like a nice, mature kind of like flavorful cheese. Oh, hard to beat. I I
So
I I had started writing a haiku, but for me, how much I enjoy my cheese and kimchi toasties, but it hasn't worked out just yet. I will read it on pod if it comes together.
please do, and I will put it on a shirt.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay, I like it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so cheese and kimchi toasties are bringing me joy. I'm eating way too many of them currently, but no regrets at all.
Boo-hoo.
I know. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Yeah. I'm eating lots of cheese and kimchi toasties.
I could listen to you say those words over and over again forever.
So good. So yeah, so that's been bringing me joy.
I
So
love it.
yeah. So folks, as always, we'd just like to remind you if you could to like us, subscribe, all those sort of good things on whatever platform of choice that you are using. Um, send Doug thanks as well for all his hard work on the show. If you
Yes.
could as well.
Support at
Support
bendypodcast.com.
Doug.
Doug will probably ignore you.
He probably will. He's such an asshole.
I know,
But
right?
yeah, but I think that's it, Beth. Do you have anything else before we wrap things up this
Nope,
evening? Yep.
nope. That's it.
So, as always, folks, I would like to remind you to, sorry, we would like to remind you
Wait.
to, sorry, we would like to remind you to stay bendy.
Did you
Beautiful.
hear the little yodel I did? The backward
It was
yodel?
nice. It was nice. It was showy, Beth, and I think it was.
That's right.
All right. We
All
love
right.
you. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye. We love you. Bye. I could
Okay.
have just gone on. I only got through half my list.
Yeah, so did I. And I was like, because when I first suggested it, I went back and I was like, shit, we did one of laughter. And then I was writing stuff down. I was like, I've talked about
Yeah.
some of this stuff, but we did something very different there. So that
Yeah.
was good.
No,